So today's story is number 62, page 168. When everyone is in the wrong, no quarrels. The secret of a happy home life. A family that was always at loggerheads lived side by side with a family that was as peaceful as could be. A, the head of the quarrelsome family, was mystified by how well everyone got along next door. Finally, one day he called on B and said in desperation, "Our family is always quarreling, as I'm sure you can tell, and I don't know what to do about it. I see that everyone in your family gets along beautifully. Please tell me what your secret is." B replied, "There's no secret in particular. It's probably because everyone in your family is always in the right. Over here, all of us are always in the wrong, so there's no quarreling. That's all there is to it." Certain that he was being ridiculed, A was about to explode in anger when a loud crash sounded from inside the house. It sounded as if a piece of crockery had fallen to the floor. The voice of a young woman said penitently, "Mother, I'm so sorry, all because I didn't look where I was going. I went and broke that dish that meant so much to you. It's my fault. Please forgive me." "Nonsense," said the voice of her mother-in-law. "It's not your fault at all. I kept meaning to put the dish away and never got around to it. I never should have left it there in the first place. I'm the one who has to apologize." Then it dawned on A. I get it. Everyone in this family is always in the wrong and says so. That's why there is no quarreling. I cannot condemn others, though their sins be red as wine, for truly their offenses pale next to those of mine. Okay. Yeah, this is one of my favorite stories in the book. And yeah, it really transformed my life. Just realizing that when everyone is in the wrong, no quarrels. This is the secret of a happy home life, happy office life, and neighborhood life. Um, yeah, so basically, because each one of us thinks that I am in the right, we always think that we are in the right. It's very difficult to look at our shortcomings or flaws. And, at a job interview, usually they ask us, "What are some of your weaknesses?" And we're like, "Oh, weaknesses? Do I have any?" Even if I do I want my prospective employer to know about it? So it's like, yeah, the first time we get asked those questions, we're like, what are my weaknesses? Like, if I ask you, can you list some of the habits or peculiarities that, maybe this actor or celebrity has, how they speak. If you follow someone, you will be able to see, oh yeah, they always like hold their sunglasses a certain way, or they touch their hair, how they, use their hands as gestures, how they, body language, how they do that. We can list like 10 peculiarities about someone, but then if I ask you, can you list some of your habits or peculiarities, something that maybe stands out to others when they see you for the first time? We will have a hard time to list those unless people tell us, and then we give it some thought and face them. And if we think it's not very good, maybe we can modify them and change them. But most people don't have such an open heart to hear people's um, review or assessment or opinion. They just dismiss it right off the bat and they don't even give it much thought. So that's why uh, when something bad happens, like, something very precious to us falls down and breaks, immediately we look for someone to blame. Who put this piece of crockery at the edge of this table? How foolish of you. That's how we speak. We accuse people, we offend them, and then naturally they want to defend themselves. And then they say, well, why didn't you see where you were going? I mean, the piece of crockery was on the table. You could have been more careful. So basically, once we blame each other, that creates a lose-lose situation. Harmony, it gets thrown out the window. The atmosphere turns kind of ugly. It's not very pleasant. If there are children around, I think those children really get kind of damaged when they see parents, especially, accuse each other all the time. So even just for the sake of children too, it's much better not to point finger at someone and accuse them of something. It's much better um, to first discover good things in them and commend them for it. Yeah, in Buddhism, we also learn before you can point out somebody's flaw and help them improve it or grow instead of remaining stagnant, before you can succeed doing that, you have to point out 9 things they're doing right. I think that makes a lot of sense. If we ignore all the things they're doing right, and then we jump into the part that they're not doing right, they're not going to be open to hearing us. And so it just creates a lose-lose situation. Yeah. I also like how they say silent and the word listen are spelled with the same letters. So the more silent, quiet, still the mind becomes, the more we can listen and hear. Yeah, so it's kind of a waste of time to say things when the mind of that person is not still or quiet or silent. And yeah, it's like water off the duck's back. It just rolls down, nothing penetrates. Yeah, and then finally the poem at the end, I cannot condemn others, though their sins be red as wine, for truly their offenses pale next to those of mine. I think this poem changed my whole life. When I was in my 20s, maybe like many other people, I was angry a lot at drivers who wouldn't follow the traffic rules, or people who would throw away their garbage on the street, even though there was a trash can over there. Or, things like that. Kind of, I had a sense of righteousness and I suffered a lot because, every time we get angry, we ourselves don't feel good. And this poem made me turn my eyes inwardly and examine my own misdeeds and wrongdoings. And when I began the journey within, I was like, wow, I can forgive everybody else. This is a very mysterious thing and it takes a lot of spiritual work. So we will cover those in the meetups. Speaking of the meetups, today we will have the Happiness Lab, 10 a.m. Pacific time, and have a beautiful Saturday, everyone. Goodbye.